Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and disembodied hands, Justin and John. At least I hope that's. I think that's who's on board. I'm never quite sure. It's always kind of a guess. There could be anybody's disembodied hands. There could be disembodied paws in play. Somebody, maybe Justin put his dog on the keyboard, you know. Morning, morning. Morning, 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 morning. Morning. Morning, morning. Good, Kurtiko. Super. So yeah, people are just kind of here. I get it. I'm kind of here too. It's Monday. We're just like, started the new week. Here we are. The base is just here to give additional light to the frame. There we are. So we are back on our half-orc wizard, who we've kind of blocked in, but I think I want to do the rest of the blocking in on her today, and also some NMMs, maybe some, I don't know. I went into the stream this morning kind of just like, I don't know what I want to do. Maybe we'll work on the fluid container. The fluid container is pretty hard, actually. We'll probably have to do kind of a weird thing with it. We'll have to depend on the fact that we can't see it from this angle. So, remember viewing angles? Hey there, everybody. Hey, Time Stitcher, thank you for the resub. 19 months. Awesome. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of looking at it. Looking at this going, I don't know. Yeah, we could go pink with the fluid or red. It'll look like blood then. We have to think about what the fluid's going to look like. It could just be, red wine. But everybody's going to assume the worst because it's a half-orc. So, it's like, I have to kind of look at it and think about it. When you're going to put fluid, if you're going to put fluid in a container. Let's see here. Give me... we were using reaperlive plus white, weren't we? I think we were. Oh, but void is not the right color. Void just is masquerading as reaperlive. There we are. We haven't done one in so long, Kaz. Like, the thing is that Reaper was redoing what they wanted to, refiguring out how they wanted to work stuff like this. So, like, as far as, like, subs and channel points and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, I would assume that we have hit one, but I'm not sure. But I don't know that, because it's like, I don't know how Reaper measures it, necessarily. So, that's a Justin and John question. But I thought we were reworking everything, and so we weren't working up to, like, the subs weren't working up to an AMA necessarily, like they used to. I'm not certain. But I seem to recall that John said when they were working on reworking channel points and all the rest of the thing that we were moving to a different system. But yeah, 20 months, Stafford Weir. Nice, thanks. Yes, hello everybody who's coming in like fresh now. We were just talking about, they asked about an AMA, and we were not sure. I am not sure what the status is on AMAs. Guys, gotta understand two things. Kickstarter, ReaperCon. These two things are sucking up everybody's brain power. I can guarantee they're sucking up 115%, possibly more, of everybody's brain power and time right now. So, like, what happens is Justin and John go, hey, we need a new channel point system. Let's work on it. And it gets started. And then something hits and they have to scramble to, like, take care of it. And then, they work on it a little more. And then ReaperCon and Kickstarter, oh my, they're prepping the warehouse right now. So, right. Yeah. What Quindy knows. I mean, you gotta understand that, like, we have so few employees, relatively speaking, to other companies, big companies that do this stuff, that it takes all our resources. So things like channel points, which, though cool, are not the point of Reaper, they get kind of set off carefully on the back burner. Justin and John are still thinking about them in the back of their heads, but right now they've got to scramble and figure out other stuff. Yeah, thank you all. God, it's resub day. Thanks, everybody. So, Daffodwear, I think I just mentioned you, and Scrying Eye, thank you for the Prime sub. Primes are hard to remember, I know. But yeah, there's just, I would assume that channel points, like, are going to kind of just stay in this nebulous little land off here on the side burner. I won't put it on the back burner. I'll put it on the side burner. Just because there's going to be stuff, especially for ReaperCon, that Justin has to work on, and John. So I expect that they are just busy. However, we can put in the official request for an AMA. However, you guys did have a John AMA just the other day for ReaperCon. So you did have, yeah. So that, you did have an AMA, you just didn't have an AMA. Yeah, so we did break it up a little. I'm going to get this blue mixed up while we chat. We're going to try. I haven't done, transparency in a long time. So we'll try it. Shadow Raven with the Prime. Hey, it reminded you. See, that's why it's resub day. One person subs and everybody's like, oh, I have to refresh my sub. It's cool that it works that way. And then I need pure white. Now we're going to need to figure out what we're going to do inside of that. But we'll figure that out. Let me grab my water. There. Yeah, that's exactly what my point is on the side burner and back burner there, Quindy, is we don't forget about anything. It's just that everybody's to-do list is 20 items long. And the thing on the top, or the big things on the top, usually suck up 95% of your time. So with Reaper, you've always got that compromise of, do you become a workaholic and work on some of this stuff, the projects that are important to you? Do you stay a little late and work on them? Right? Or do you workaholic them? Sometimes I would do that. If I wanted to work on a new color, I would just stay late and work on the new color because I didn't have time during my normal shift. Or I would come in on a Saturday before paint club and I'd work on a new color, because you just don't have time. You just hit the ground running when you've got all these, things in the air. ReaperCon is an immense bear of a thing that takes a lot of time to put together for you guys. And now that we're also organizing maybe some digital content on the side, and stuff like that. And if classes are going to go, if we're going to have recordings of classes or what we're going to do, I don't know. Anything though, it's gonna, and the award ceremony is different, a little bit different this year. So that is the same too. And yeah. Right. See, Bob and Julie even say if they want to talk to Ron, they have to do it on the weekend. Because during the week, too busy. This is the Reaper, this is how it goes. Having worked for them for so long, I remember the stress, and you don't have the oomph. You don't have any time left for some of these projects that are cool, that you're excited about. I'm sure that John and Justin are super psyched to, get a new awesome channel points thing going. And, perks and stuff. But it's just not on the top of the to-do list right now. So. My to-do list was ridiculous at Reaper. I remember just having to juggle so many things at once. And I got to the point where, after running the department for 15 years, I was good at juggling. But it was still stressful, and there's just so many things you'd love to do that you just don't have time for it right now. So, my overall advice is to remember that, we'll get there, but Reaper's a small company, and you may not get it till this winter. You may not get it till Kickstarter fulfills, and, which should be soon-ish, sooner than Reaper soon at this point, I think, and I've just cursed that container, haven't I? And then... we've got ReaperCon. So I would expect in the fall that maybe they'd have a little time to work on it. But I would not expect it soon. Even Reaper soon. Just because that's the way it works when you have so few people. That's the problem with small companies. And the great thing about small companies is that there is room for this sort of thing. There is room for, the personal little pet project and the cool little perks and, all this kind of thing that we're able to do. But the downside is that there are so few people that when big things come along, the entire company gets sucked in. Yeah, right. Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, people who are coming in. I was just prepping some stuff. Unfortunately, I too much Ritterlicht. There can be too much Ritterlicht blue. I'm sorry to say this. I really didn't think it was true, but it turns out there can be too much Ritterlicht blue. That said, if any of you don't own this, this is the quintessential dark blue in the line. Very close to a Prussian blue, which used to be one of my favorite colors. Dark Prussian blue in like tube paint, artist tube paint. Always loved this color. So we are looking pretty okay, and yeah, we'll figure out. You don't have to figure out when you do a container. You don't, if you're going to do a translucent container, you do not have to figure it out right away what you're going to put in it. I am going to need something because it's got a little wrap up at the top, so I need some brown liner. I always like to be fully mixed up and ready to go before I start these things. Because once I get into it, I don't want to stop to figure it out. So we get a little brown liner so we can get that detailing down. But yes, with Reaper, it's always patience. I mean, you guys have like great opportunities, you know, to interact with the company on a very relatively intimate level. Like, all things considered, I think about some of my old jobs at bigger companies and how impossible it would have been for their customer base to really engage with anybody. And Reaper seeks to engage with you, which is one of the wonderful things about Reaper. But that same size and smallness and engagement that allows Reaper to do that also means that, yeah, Reaper's resources get sucked up really easily. Mental resources and time. It's brain cells and time. I think that Reaper, like, if the most important like Reaper resources were quantified, it would be brain cells and time. We wish that we had more time and more spare brain cells. We could do so many cool things. Yeah, I mean, most companies Reaper size, like, when was the last time you saw... Oh gosh, I won't even pick people, but just think about like your favorite even companies in this industry. And alrighty, I'm gonna just like take this little wrap and line around it. Since I painted just the whole bottle, I just want to set that off visually before I start trying to do other stuff. I think I may also make the top a little cork. A cork in the bottle. That'll be fun. Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, and like, guys, it's not just hiring, right? Because a lot of this stuff that needs to happen is higher concept stuff. Is like, you know, it's not a newbie can't be trained to handle some of this. Like, this is stuff that you need experienced staff doing and taking care of. Like, sure, you can get just another pair of hands to fulfill the Kickstarter. And we do, like, regularly in the past, we've hired temp help, or we've brought in family members to assist, or both. But it's not just a matter of just hiring. I mean, hiring a person off the street doesn't help you with things like developing your Twitch, channel. You'd need to actually make a hire of somebody with qualifying skills. So it's not just anybody. There's just a lot of things at Reaper that do require that extra bit of expertise. Like, replacing Justin or John would be difficult. Like, it took us a long time to get somebody to realize that John was a good fit. Like, and to get John in the position he's in now with the social media where he's so valuable, right? But you need the right person for that job. It's not just somebody you can just, oh, this person, we'll just get them in that position, right? It's like finding a replacement for Anne. It's not, in the end, to replace me in the paint department, we trained Sadie, who has definitely had the brains and the skill and the art knowledge to make a great go of it. But it took, what would have happened if something had happened to me and I had to like move on like earlier, right? We wouldn't have had anybody. It would have been Ed out there or something. I don't know. It would have been scary. But so sometimes it's like hard. I think there's this misconception in some industries, not necessarily with Reaper, but where it's like, well, just hire people. And it's like, well, but that's not so easy sometimes. All right, so let us see. Right now, usually with glass, what you're going to see. Yeah, right. Exactly, Kurtiko. Like, what other company has their CEO and their CFO and, like, you know, like the heads of departments, their art director, and you know, like on a stream every week where they're actually interacting, you know, like, hey, War Shadow. So yeah, with what we do, make no mistake, Reaper is a unicorn in the world. All right, I'm going to try to sketch in. So if you ever look at a glass object, you'll notice that the edges definitely pale out, depending on the color of the glass. I'm going with a light glass here, a clear glass. And you will notice that you will only see like the fluid or contents here. That's because the walls obviously are glass. So as you go around, you're going to be looking at glass and not the fluid, unless it's a very, very thin vial. And even then, you're still going to, I think, see a bit of this kind of occlusion. Now, the problem with doing the best transparency is usually achieved if the vial is up against something, so you only have to view it from one angle. And this is very difficult because you are going to be viewing it from several angles. So we're pretty much just going to have to choose our primary viewing angles. And normally with this sort of model, I would say you want to actually paint this like it's clay or something. You don't want to paint this transparent. It's not a good subject for transparency. The reason that it would normally not be is that you really can't address it and make it look right from every angle. So this angle is not going to look the same. So what I'll pretend essentially is that since the handle is here, it's a little bit thicker here. I'll make it work doing that. But otherwise, like, normally the best little transparency things are up against something like hanging off the belt or whatever. And so you can totally then control who's going to be looking at it. But here, the reason it can work on her is that she really is a very flat figure. Like, said not, you know, in a disparaging way, but it's just the reality, right? She has two viewing angles. She has this angle, and she has that angle. And we haven't done a lot back here to make it spiced up. We're going to have to do some freehand or something fun back here, probably, to make it a little bit more exciting if we want her to be an interesting character. In fact, I may kind of... and this is something that I do a lot, is if there is a design on the figure that I like this little clasp, which is really ornate, I'll take that and I'll use that as a freehand design on the back of the figure. So we may actually map that in today. I'm kind of in the mood. To do titchy things today. So if you guys notice, there's a great primer shortage. Like, maybe it's because of, like, a fallout from COVID shipping and general supply. But, like, it seems like when I go to find primers, they're out of stock except for crappy Army Painter. Oh, sorry, except for Army Painter. You didn't hear me say that. Oops, it's Monday morning. Except for the primer who should not be named that I dislike. And others may like it. You may like it if you like. Some people like their primers with a little more texture. I don't. So yeah, everybody to each their own primer. But I've noticed that many brands that I normally depend on are very hard to find nowadays. Like or if you look at them on Amazon, the price has gone up, right? So I don't like their primer either. like my top end primers. I've had a hard time because I guess I am very much like persnickety on my primer. Like, if a primer betrays me, I do not use it again. Because when you're priming something and you want it to be a Golden Demon entry or Crystal Brush entry or a Reapercon entry, you know, you want it, or it's a commission, you know, and you're like, and your primer betrays you, then you're just like, oh, it's on. I'm not buying this again. I use Tamaya, and the other one that I use, but their primers, not so much, Kerniko. Not so much. I used Tamiya, and I'd use GW right now. And Reaper Brush On. Always Reaper Brush On. But Reaper Brush On is not going to prime that giant wolf lady sitting over on the side of my shelf here. But yeah, it's really hard And the only problem with Tamiya or Tamiya is that they don't do a black. So if I want to do a sketch style or a gradient prime, then, and you know, given everybody out there is going, oh, just use your airbrush. And I'm like, no. Sorry, airbrushers. I'm still not in your camp. But yeah, I mean, I just like to use a spray primer. I don't want to have to set up an airbrush. Maybe if David and I get a bigger place, which is a possibility, but, you know, we're still looking. But if David and I get a bigger place, then we can actually have an airbrush station set up. Then I might get into more airbrushing. But for now, I totally feel it. Oh, they just moved it to a different line, Valandar? I wondered about that. Yeah, if you're you know, painting bones all the time, Jareth, then you don't need a primer. Yeah, yeah, and you can always mix or tincture primers as well, especially if you're using an airbrush or brush on. Okay, so did they change the name, Valandar, of the dull coat? Because that's the only. Clavicus, you're funny. Yeah, one that's been around for like 20 years now. I don't think it's going away. I don't think you're a fad if you've been around for 20 years, despite the skinny jeans fad of fashion, which is like on a record 30 years or something. Except it just died. Like, skinny jeans just died, finally. Oh, actually, I'll spray, but then yeah, absolutely, I'll do that, Pendrake. Like, it's just a primer. You just don't want to apply it really thick. So if you're gonna, like, if you do a prime and then you still have, like, silver areas, like if you're doing metal resin, you still have areas, like, down in the depths that didn't get primed, sure, I'll grab some brush on and dab it in there. I will get myself on the airbrush train, Dogfather. Like, I am a stubborn Ann, and so, like, I have decided that if we get an airbrush setup that I don't have to, like, okay, I already think it's a pain in the butt to clean the thing, right? So, in order for Ann to adopt the airbrush, I will need it to be easy and accessible. And so that's why I say when we have the room to have actually a little setup, so the airbrush is always there, it's ready, you know, all I have to do is turn on a light, turn on the compressor, you know, mix up my paint, then I'm likely to start adopting it. Because I totally can see that it's very easy. So if you guys look what I'm doing, I'm kind of bringing in this silhouette here of the white. That's because I want this to look like glass. So I'm bringing in, and I'm going to bring it in a little stronger on the far side. So what this simulates is when you're looking at a glass bottle, this is a plastic bottle, but it'll work. You're simulating that thicker glass as it moves around the outside. You normally don't see fluid. This is a very thin bottle, so you do see the fluid going right up against it. But even there, can you see that really pale white line going up the side? Really pale, right where the fluid is. See it? See how it gets lighter there at the edge? That's because you're looking through these layers of plastic. And the bigger the bottle, the thicker that's going to be, and the more pronounced this effect will be. So you want to vary it. It's going to be very dependent on the thickness of glass. Yeah, they would be foolish to change the name. Hello, Liquid Nebula. We're working on it. Yeah, I haven't tried the Tamiya sealers. I mean, their products are very, very good. I mean, they're high quality. But I love Dull Coat for primer sealer just because it was the only truly matte sealer. And I liked also that it was quite thin. Like, you could put several coats on. You could layer it up as you liked. And it really didn't, like, affect your paint job too much. The most to remember about sealers, sometimes they will take your highlights down a level when you put it on. So you may have to re-highlight over the top of your sealer. But when you're doing a dull coat, it doesn't matter because dull coat gives you enough texture that you can do that. I didn't go dark crystal with it. I just pretty much went Anne wants some color. Anne wants some red color up top, so she's going to go pink. It's because they switched it to a different line time stitcher, I think. And also, I think this goes along with the great primer shortage. I think that maybe there's just been the shipping glut that happened is taking a while to unravel, I think. Right, Kariniko, yeah, cleaning it, right? So I need to be able to like kind of get into my groove with an airbrush. Find a groove with the airbrush. The airbrush and me, we need to groove. Because I can see where I would just love it. But I got to get by the things I don't like about it. I've got to get past those things or find a way to just kind of go, okay, whatever. It's kind of like, okay, you know what it's actually exactly like? It's getting into the habit of cooking at home all the time instead of like going out or doing, like frozen dinners or whatever, right? So cooking takes extra time, but once you've been doing it for a while, you just don't even notice the time. It's just time you invest so that you can have tasty, healthy food every night, right? So, but it is like that. And at first, you'll be resistant to doing it because you think, I could be using that time to do so many things I enjoy, instead of wasting it on cooking, right? So it's just like that, where it's like, once I get into using the airbrush, I'm certain that I will be like, oh yeah, this is just fine. But since I'm not, and since I don't have that ready set up place to use it, we have to haul it out on our deck. Like, to have room for an airbrush setup in this place, we actually have to go out on our balcony and set it all up. So it's a pain in the butt right now. Yeah. Oh, you have a birthday too, Sarduki? Yeah, I have one coming up also. And I've held off buying a model. I bought myself some new shoes, which I'm actually happy about, because I've really gotten to like this one brand, comfy brand of shoes, and I bought myself some couple of new clothes type things, but I haven't bought myself my miniature yet. Like, I'm trying to decide on what my birthday mini is going to be. And David did buy me the Kirill book. Like, it came, but I've kept it. I haven't opened the box at all. We just put the box to the side because I'm waiting for closer to my birthday. So it's a proper birthday present. There, I'm just going to darken up that area there a little bit. Oh, lucky you. Yay. But yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what my birthday miniature is going to be. And again, it's hard because I have so many beautiful minis. And the ones that I have primed right now are just like, or sitting waiting to be primed, I should say, since we went on a trip to a local game store to try to get primer. And all they had was colored primers. So I actually got blue because I was like, this could be fun to play with. All right, so once we've got this kind of fade on the side, that's one of the big parts of portraying a surface as glass. And we're going blue because usually that's a good default for clear glass. Blue, light blue or light gray with a hint of blue, because you're normally going to get a little bit of sky reflection, And also, in this case, this blue matches with our staff blue, and we built this blue off of these other blues so that they would all harmonize together. So, yeah, two different ways. It could just be light blue glass, too. Yeah. It's still 10 minutes more than me cleaning my brush. Dog father. Like, there's me cleaning my brush. 5 seconds. So I get it. I get both sides of the story. Trust me, I do. Like, I understand the attraction of the airbrushing and why it will be a great tool when I finally, get there. But, I also have to laughingly acknowledge that right now I am totally with the it's too much trouble, dang it, group. All right, so what color fluid should we have, guys? I could go olivey green, too. I could go green. I don't know how that would work. Might work. It might work. We might try it. Because I've got red accents here, red accents here. I could totally do a red accent here. And do a pink. The crystal is like so easy because it's just plastic card, Coos. I just sliced up a piece of thick. I have really thick plastic card, so we haven't even done the backside yet. And otherwise, it's a lot of it's very similar to doing NMM, although it's slightly different. Yeah, if I could hire, somebody to just make the airbrush all ready for me, and then I could, just walk up and use it. it's like I said, I see both sides. I will eventually embrace the airbrush, but I will also have much sympathy for people who are just like, it's too much dang trouble and I hate cleaning it. I will never lose my sympathy for those people. I mean, when it comes down to it, it is a tool like any other. And if that tool works for you and excites you about painting, and especially if it lets you overcome like people who really, really hate base coating or laying down that initial, layer, like if it overcomes that barrier for you to painting, like because it makes it so easy to base coat the model and to get a good, a good gradient down on big models, then, oh my God, go for it. Because it's, anything that removes frustration or, like boredom from the painting process, I am all in on. So it is a tool. It's just a tool. It's not the end all be all. It is not for everybody. All right. No, we don't want to go away totally from our color scheme, because this is actually more of a yellow. We have a red, yellow, blue color scheme right now. So, I mean, you could argue that you'd want the complementary color to the blue up here. I could see doing it if we did a little bit of red with it, war shadow. Like, I don't want to go like the problem. Okay, so here's the deal. If you put orange liquid in here, especially if you do it like in a kind of give it a bit of motion, it becomes the most saturated, strongest color, lightest, brightest color on the model. And instantly people will look at that first. The point of this is not to make it the focal point of the model. The focal point of the model should be all of this. Because there's no orange anywhere else on the model, if I put an orange over here, chances are the eye's going to go right to it, because there's enough blue on this model that the orange is going to look really bright. So I could use it as same way I did here. I could use a little bit of red and lighten it and add a tiny hint of orange at the top of the fluid, and that would work very well. But going straight orange with it, always question why. When you put a light, bright color on a figure and it's not on the focal point, question why you're doing it. And question, like, is everybody just going to stare at the potion bottle? They might already, because you're doing translucent effect on it. And they're going to be like, ooh, translucent. So you're already running that risk just doing this. Yeah. Yeah, it would have to be red or green. Like I said, we can bring them up toward orange. Like, we could bring a red up toward orange. Or bring a green up toward yellow. Absolutely. Yeah. Quindy, thanks for that, video reference. Oh, okay, wait. Dull coat. Hold on. This is important to me because I have been a dull coat consumer for like over 2 decades. Rust-Oleum lied when they said dull coat wasn't being discontinued. They did discontinue it. They have an ultra matte dead flat spray, but it implies it's a textured clear spray. I don't know about that. They always had the kind of textured clear spray cap on the dull coat too. It's to show that it's a matte. We'd have to try it. Has anybody bought it? Let me make a note. I'll go looking for it. I'm interested. I normally don't seal these days. I haven't found that it's really useful with Master Series, but let me see here. What was it? Well, you need understand that a dead flat spray has to be textured, guys. That's what makes it flat. Ultra matte, dead flat. It's Rust-Oleum. We'll see. If it has gone away, if like the dead flat is yeah, because of course, okay, so as a company, they're going to want to keep their customers, so of course they're going to claim that they're not discontinuing dull coat while they rework the formula and try to make their own variant on it. Because companies, they don't want you to run away. They know dull coat had a following, or they wouldn't have picked up testers. Like they're trying to keep they have their cake and eat it too. And so whether they've put out a quality product that can really be a replacement for Tester's dull coat is the question. All right, so definitely bring up to pure white wherever your highlights are coming up. I actually went over, I think, a little bit too much here. You don't really want to bring this edge too far over, guys, because remember that as you put this little white silhouette around your bottle, that silhouette is going to be the thickness of the glass. So if you bring your white way in, what it's going to say is that this bottle is like mostly glass with just a little tiny fluid container volume in it, which, you know, works for some things. But here I want a moderate thickness. Another thing to ask yourself before you decide to make something inside of this bottle, as far as what color it will be, is what it will suggest. Like when we started the stream, I pointed out that if we went red, straight up red, no matter what we do, it's going to suggest blood. And like orange liquid is good because that implies like potion, magic, spell, orange juice. You probably don't think it's orange juice, but it could be. Well, I mean, just add a little water to the matte sealer and it matches the finish of the MSP perfectly, guys. Like 5-to-1, like just brush on sealer with 1 drop of water, 5 drops of brush on sealer, 1 drop of water, brush it over your mini. Ta-da! Airbrush it. It could be clavicus. But it's true though. Like whenever you put red into a clear vessel, people are gonna, it's just the first thing your brain flashes to. It's just like when I put orange, when I said orange, my first thoughts were magical potion, but my next thought was orange juice. But it's not, orange juice is not the first thing I'm gonna think about this orc holding. It's gonna be context. She's wearing red, she's a half orc, she's got this bottle of something, what is it? So, it could be anything, but you will suggest things, whether you like it or not. You will suggest, but like if we went bright, vibrant green with this, it would mean Greek fire. Boom. That's what people would assume it is. And even if it's orange, maybe they think it's an explosive potion, and that's cool. I actually kind of was hoping for that myself. So, but yellow is not, I wouldn't probably use a yellow. I could use this kind of golden color that we got with the polished leather. Once again, I'm not trying, orange and yellow are dangerous when you don't have them as a primary feature on the model. If this was Lizette, we could absolutely go yellow with that potion because she's got yellow all over and it's not going to distract. Here we have 0 yellow on the model. Except for maybe if we do some NMM gold, but I think I'm going mostly silver with this one. So we won't actually have a real strong yellow. This is our strongest yellow. So if you put this up here with a really strong yellow, and I know you were making a joke, yes, but this gives me an opportunity to talk about color composition. If you put a strong yellow or a strong orange or a very strong green up here, it's going to detract. So sometimes in some games, bright red equals healing potions. World of Warcraft. Any WoW person. Or a Final Fantasy person. But I think I'm going to actually try for orange, but I'm going to start it with red, just like I started her dress with red. And I'm going to try to bring it up accordingly, so that the orange is just a hint at the top. And then after we've got that painted in, then we can look at actually putting a highlight on the glass, on the body of the glass. So I'm going to get some red together. And I believe we started really dark with this one and we brought it up. So I'm going to do kind of an Asmodeus and fire mix, and I may add a little bit of white just to bleach it out a little. Oh, yeah, so, okay. No pay to play. Let's see here. Where is my, I think I want lemon. I want to bleach this out a little bit. I'm actually using a greenish yellow with this because I don't want it to be super bright. But I do want to suggest the color. So I'm going to grab a brush full of my white, mix it into this red. Check out what color I can make with that. That is not orange enough. I'm gonna need to use my lantern yellow a little bit. Just a little bit. Elder Scrolls Online. Pendrake. Another MMO that I played. I played all of those actually. Final Fantasy and WoW and ESO. I like MMOs and I cannot lie. Ah, I need a pokey stick. Pokey tool. But yeah, there definitely is like a fantasy world standard now, as blue being mana potion, red being healing potion. Like, it's definitely a thing. Green being whatever. Other random colors of potion. Red and blue are pretty standard, though. I like the idea of this being explosive. When I first saw it in her hand, I kind of assumed she was going to throw it. I like alchemists, though, and I cannot lie. Alright, let's try this again. I'm mostly messing around trying to get a color that I like for this basis for this potion bottle. Really? Really, Lantern Yellow? Are you going to betray me like this? Lantern Yellow is just having a day, guys. Oh, 14 moved away from potions? Yeah. To be fair, WoW is not very into the potions these days anyway. I mean, I use flasks. But mana potions are not that useful. Depending on. Alright, whoa, that's very orangey. So now I'm just putzing around with my reds and oranges to try to find a color that I like, and then I'll talk about why I like it. There we go, that's better. So I've got like kind of a muted red and orange here. You can see, guys, what I'm doing. So I did add a little bit of a vibrant color with my lantern yellow to make this orange, and I'm going to make it a lighter orange here. But I definitely have, this is more muted. This is not a very bright red. It's not a very bright orange. That's on purpose. Because I need it bright enough for it to read correctly in the bottle. But I don't want it too bright or it's going to overwhelm my other colors. Yeah, of course, the COVID totally was a good thing for MMOs. Everybody was like, I want to escape to a different world for a while because I can't leave my house. Hey, I started up Shadowlands too, so I'm guilty as charged, really. So let's try this. So when you do the transparency, you want it to fade in from the sides. So you do want to thin your paint. Because remember, you want to, the fluid is not going to go like and vanish this white. It's going to kind of come in from that white. So you want it to be strong toward the middle. You kind of want to give it like that. Hold on, let me get close. Let me back this away. I haven't thinned this quite enough to really make it work. So I'm going to put a little extra water in. So you start blocking it in. Remember, you can always... Yeah, so Elder Scrolls Online. It's a MMORPG. HM Road Dog. But yes, you're right, Pendrake. Morrowind is, although pointed out as it started as a separate game, it is also a location in the MMO, because the MMO includes all the zones that you previously encountered in the Elder Scrolls regular games, which were not MMOs. So that may have gotten a little bit too much. We'll see. So you don't want to get too dark, depending on the fluid, I guess. And I'm keeping this uneven. A lot of people make the mistake, guys, of just making a straight line, but I'm actually going to mix this up a little bit here. Thunder. I miss thunder. I want rain. We're in a drought here. It's no fun. I do miss rain. So I'm going to make a little sploosh. I think that a lot of people just do, like, fluid as like this straight line, and I'm like, it would totally be splashing. Chances are. So I'm going to make it sploosh. And make it a little bit uneven anyway. The other thing that it can do is suggest that it's kind of climbing up the side a little, or coming down off the side a little bit. And then you want to really blend in this edge. You don't want it to be a hard edge because you've got this glass here. So it really needs to be a blend, not just a hard line between the side of the bottle and the fluid. Now you're just showing off, Valendar. You'd be bored if I started talking about all the WoW zones, so have mercy. There we go. So fade it in on the sides there, so we keep our glass idea. I'm going to bring in a little bit of light. No rain in 3 days and everybody is so happy. Yeah, I can see that. I can think it gets really oppressive feeling, Kerniko. So I'm going to take in some of my orange, because I mostly started with the red here. Bring the orange up. The orange is probably going to be mostly on top and around the edges. And the red is going to stay where the potion bottle is deepest. Yes, I miss rain. I do miss rain. And yeah, so I'm going to keep the red down here. I'm going to work it up toward a little orangey at the top. So what we can do is what we did down here. But this looks okay. It's not just, it's going to distract because, again, it's freehand kind of. I probably have that as too high of a peak also. Oh no, Nomad Zeke. I'm sorry. Sorry you took your wrong allergy pill and now you're like sleeping. Allergy meds never hit me that way, so I'm almost just like do. Alrighty, let's see here. So I'm gonna try to put a little bit more light color. Ah, too much. Oh well, back off. Grab some orange, try to blend that in. There we go. And if we make it do funky things, if you like create sparkles or some other funky effect, it will read as more magical. So like, and if we suggest that it has light in it, any sort of stuff like that, any weird or multicolored shifts, or so we can do orange, but just we have to be careful. We have to take it up from our red so that it naturally reverberates there, and it's still going to be somewhat distracting on the figure. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of my red here, make it a little bit stronger down there toward the bottom. And again, you want to be able to see that glass at the bottom a little bit. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit here because I want this red color to come out a little bit, but I also need to kind of blend it in. I'm going back and forth trying to get my thickness of glass to read correctly. And then the other thing we need to do is probably fade it out a little bit toward the bottom, because the glass will get thicker there, so we need to fade down there as well. And this is where we get unrealistic here on the side, is because we, it's going to be kind of flat. It still looks okay from there, but it's a good thing her head gets in the way here and her spear. And then the back will have to paint accordingly. But I kind of like that. Oh, hey, Jimmy, how's it going? I just noticed you. Yeah, I was working on, she's a half-orc wizard. She's, this one. Half-orc wizard. So we're just working on doing a little bit of a transparent, effect there. She's fun. She's a simple model. But thanks. Thanks. Yeah. It's okay here. We were talking about a lot of stuff this morning. Mostly about, like, the great primer shortage and, like, how tester stall code isn't tester stall code anymore. Stuff like that. Industry stuff. Boring. And I'm just trying to do a little bit of a transparent effect here before I come in and pop some highlight down the side of this bottle. Front side. Yeah, as discussed though, this does tend to work better if the potion is like on a belt, because then you know you only have that one angle to account for, so it's much easier in some ways. Whereas here we're having to do it incorrectly on purpose and just concentrate on front and back viewing angle. So we'll be doing the back the same as we're doing the front for the most part. Yeah, it's missing right now, Zen Bacon, right. It does look. It looks incorrect at the moment. So, two things. Her one finger is on the side of the bottle, and her thumb is on the back of the bottle. And since the fluid is somewhat opaque, I'm going to say no. But if you had a transparent fluid, then it would Shadow Raven. You'd have to suggest a shadow, which is, like, interesting, but I don't know if it would carry right here. So I'm going to put a glaze now. Remember what we do when we want to suggest that something is covered over with another thing. We create a glaze. I'm going to use a light blue. I'm going to glaze it over the top of this, and I'm going to try to put a highlight. Try to nail my highlight. We're going to put on a simple brushed over glaze. No pooling. We're gonna try to bring in, where would my highlight be? 1 second while I hold a bottle up to the light. All right, where's my highlight? Yeah, I have to decide now strongly where my light source is, guys. And we've been doing kind of a uniform, like from above, diffuse light source, so it's probably gonna come down right there. This is much easier with a shaped bottle. Like, if it wasn't a round bottle, it would be much easier. Let's do a diffused spot. I may end up repainting this whole thing if this doesn't work. There. Gonna kind of concentrate it up here. So we get some light coming down. Technically, it probably shouldn't go underneath there, but I'll fuzz it out. And I should make it a little more solid. I did a stippled line, which isn't quite in keeping with the smoothness of the surface, so I'll probably have to fuzz that out. And go a little smoother. Oh yeah, Mike. Totally, all the time. Like, especially when I'm just doing stuff I haven't done a lot. Like, I don't do translucency on objects a lot because unless it's kind of the point of the model, I find that it's gratuitous and distracting. So for me, but on the stream here, I'm very much doing, you know, instruction. So even if I think that I wouldn't do this on this model if I was just painting it for me, I'll go and jump in to show people how to do it. I'll go back and forth on it a little bit here. Got a little bit shaky on it also when I was stippling it, so. Remember on shiny surfaces though, it's going to be a hard highlight. It's not going to blend in. I think I'm going to do that and take that up. It's working a little bit, but it's still not good. It's not working on some aspects at all. So I've got kind of a double bump highlight there. And I could suggest that it goes around. That's the other thing. You could add an angle in here, right under the fluid angle, if you wanted to. Yeah, I'm not happy with it, but we'll see. Probably it's just too big. I need to shrink it. So we'll just go back and forth. But the thing is here that when you're unhappy with it, never just like paint over it right away. You may be able to tune it if you can figure out why you don't like it. Here I think I've made it too big. But yeah, when I'm doing experimental stuff on camera for the show because I'm trying to, you know, show you guys how to do stuff, it's definitely often a you know, may need to repaint. It's not too bad. Now I'm playing just to see if I can get it to look better. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. All right. At least it echoes the shape a little bit better there. I still went a little bit too far here. That's a little better. It's nice to have if you can make the highlight go down and intersect the surface of the fluid, it is nice because it gives you that sense of something out over the fluid, right? It's not just 2D painted on 3D anymore. You've got to nail the effect. Ideally, you would find a little bottle that looked like this and you'd put it in front of you so that you could see, you know, what you're doing. Though I think I've actually nailed one of the things I forget. It's just like the horizon line that tends to be less color right next to the surface of the fluid. So get paler here. And that'll help a lot. You have to become like, to be a really good like interpretive artist, like to paint surfaces the way that they look in reality, you gotta become a good observer. Gotta look at them. It's like trying to write convincing characters. You have to think a lot about people and why they do the things they do. So now we got that sploosh coming on. That's looking a lot better. So lightening the area right up against the fluid worked actually really well. And that was me just honestly looking at a transparent bottle here it's the wrong shape, but I have it here on my desk. So I'm like, oh, it also gets lighter right above the fluid. So if I suggest that, maybe I can get that transparency effect going on. And sure enough, it helped. So I'm going to take that sploosh down a little bit. This is where you go back and forth to try to get an effect that you like. I still want that line to be a little irregular, but I took down the big sploosh because it looked too much like a mountain to me. And if it looks like a mountain to me, it's going to look like a mountain to other people as well. So now layering a bit. Can totally keep us this side a little bit lower so that it does look like it's still splooshing. Now it's getting a lot better. Now it's suggesting more transparency, but we've lost a little bit of our edge over here, so we need to bring it back, the white edge. So just like with any painting, when you're trying something new for the first time, you're probably going to have to do lots of little adjustments. So be alert to your gut saying, this isn't quite right. And instead of getting frustrated, make some changes and see if they work. It's very much about attitude with getting better. It's understanding that just because it doesn't look right the first time, it's not the end of the world. You can totally change it and help it. And if you keep gently and patiently working at it, eventually you'll come up with something. You may come up with something that's just like okay, and then you maybe on your next model you nail it. I am going to try something down here. I'm going to try to mirror kind of the highlight, except less. Because again, shiny and reflective. I want to suggest the shape of the bottle. That's not too bad. I need a little bit of mitigation there. Made a little bit too wide. Do remember that any highlights... There we go. So now I've got kind of the rounded effect going on. Do remember that when you're on a rounded surface, your highlights are going to be curved. And they're not going to be wide and round and diffused because this is a shiny bottle. So it's going to really not have... It's all of the highlights become spot highlights there. They become quite hard and not faded in. And I'm going to do stretches in just a second, but I'm going to touch this up here. Hit another bright highlight. I think I want a bright highlight right there before it cuts away. But just going to put a spot on there. I probably want an actual, like, pure white. Pop of pure, really strong pure white. But I'm going to hold off on for a second. And just... What I'm doing kind of is I'm suggesting, I'm painting in potential highlights with a much more diffused style. I know I can pop them when I need to, but doing it this way lets me kind of place them and assess whether the effect is what I want. And then when I come up with, yeah, that effect is what I want, then I can come in with a really strong pop of pure white. Maybe 2 pops. Yeah, I think so. That's getting there. All right. So this extra white going over the surface suggests that there's something between you and that sploosh. So. All right. So now I'm going to set this down for a second and do some stretches. And we can come back. Let me get her in focus. And yeah, we'll be back in just a second. If you have a moment and you haven't moved for ages, it's time to stretch, everybody. I should just put this behind her. Makes her stand out better. Except there's water on it, but oh well, who cares? 1 second. Making her a pillow. There we go. There's her pillow. Alrighty. Let us get a stretch on. Oop! Haha. Yeah, Rox, well, you were late, so you missed us discussing why, various reasons for and against various colors of fluid in the bottle. Alrighty. Yes, magic of the stretch break, for sure. Everybody stretch. If you haven't stretched, stretching is awesome. Just for a minute. Just takes a little bit. Until you can feel your spine again and not in a bad way. And the more you stretch, the easier it gets. So if your stretch makes you hurt a little bit at first, that is to be expected. As long as it is not a sharp pain, you are okay. So be cautious. Gentle with your stretching when you haven't stretched in a long time. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the problem with work. It interrupts, your other doing fun things time. Alrighty. And I'm going to do a floor stretch, and then I will be back up, and we can resume. Alrighty. Resume. Hey, zoomies do not mean zoom to me. We've got the paint zoomies. I'm not hyper enough to be paint zoomies today, though. Which is good. I'm chill today. It's good. It's good to start the week out chill. In my opinion. Alrighty. Yeah, okay, we're good. Boop. We need to get up zoomies again. Oh no! My camera wobbled. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Ah. Even. There we are. Alrighty. So I'm actually pretty okay with this glass bottle right now. It does need a little cord around its top. If we go... Probably should go red with that cord. It'll make this look more orange, but it'll also bring up more red. Let me grab my fire red as my Asmodees. Yeah! Yay! Stretchies! Great, Jedi Jared. Yeah, that makes sense, Shadow Raven. Zoomies! Yeah, sometimes I get zoomies. When Anna's super hyper and has the zoomies. Although, usually it's the puppies with the zoomies, but I do not have a puppy right now. Once I get a puppy again, zoomies are on. But hopefully not during stream. When I get a puppy again, that will be somewhat disruptive. Just a little bit disruptive. I'm hoping I can get the puppy into the habit of sleeping through the stream like I got Kiri in the habit. Should be able to. The puppy ideally will get up and play and eat and then conk. It's the nice thing about young puppies. But it'll be a while probably, guys. I was looking around. Oh, new puppy, so she hasn't had sleep for a couple weeks, Scoops. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm happy to be dogless for a little while. It does really free you up a bit to like travel and stuff without having to worry a lot. And I do tend to worry a lot about my animals. Paranoid pet owner, that's me. But yeah, I'm already kind of scoping out what I want when I do get in the puppy frame of existence, once we have a place where we can have a puppy. Which may be a while itself, so. Cute ball of floof, good. Yes, well, they have to be cute balls of floof or you'd want to murder them. Yes, yeah, cats do get zoomies also. Cats and puppies. Alright, so now I did Asmodeus red first, guys, because of the dark red down here, but I'm going to do some white to put some fire red over. When you want your red highlights to be really bright, put your white down first. Yeah, Dogfather. That's why I'm not in a hurry. Like David and I would like to get overseas once things are a little bit better. We'd like to get to France, maybe Italy, and that sort of thing. So right now, not having an animal makes that much easier once things open up. A lot less stressful. Alright, I got a little bit, I need a little bit more here. Just trying to get those little bands to show up right. My red was a little bit too thick still, so. There we go. There we are, that's better. Yeah, I've got a pet. I've got cute animals channel. That'd be great. Puppy pictures never go amiss. Just gonna get the little cords here on the back. I do feel like this is probably an explosive potion. Like, she is gonna chuck it at somebody. Like, who needs to memorize Fireball when you can brew explosive vials of goo? There we go. Well, we like art, crows, so we'd be hitting the Louvre for sure, and then a bunch of places with pretty architecture and art. We haven't planned it because it's at least, we figured with COVID and everything, it's at least a year out, so we have several trips before that lined up this year. Because we, of course, have ReaperCon, and then we also have, we're going to Hawaii in the fall. Back to Hawaii, though not back to Honolulu, which is what the city that I love there. We are going to give the Big Island a try instead. And then I've got a family vacation with my family right after the holidays. Which is probably the last family vacation for my family. Just because the niece and nephew the niece will be going away to college. And the nephew will, is getting a little older, but probably means my brother and his family the kids are going their own ways, so this will be the last time for the family vacation. And my parents are getting older too, so that puts some limitations on it, although they're thankfully both in very good shape. Alright, let's really take a strong white. Strong white. And pop that. Those really bright light. How about over here? Kind of doing it equidistant from the one side And then down here, just a trace of it. Just a little bit. Not sure about the light over there. I wanted a secondary light. May have popped it a little bit too much. Gonna grab some blue. Fade that in a little. Once again, this is just like experiment. See what you can do. If you don't like it, paint over it. But yeah, we also want to make it to Adepticon in the spring. Because, you know, Golden Demon. David wants to compete. And I might have something. I haven't gotten motivated to work on it. It's going to be a really good Golden Demon, though, because since it's the first one in America for, like, over 10 years, all my friends who've been working on big projects or have kept painting, like, awesome projects are just going to be, like, so much good stuff is going to show up at that GD. So even if you don't like Games Workshop, I want to keep an eye out for coverage of the event, just because it's going to have some really good models in it. Of that, I am dead certain. There's too many good people out there. And then, of course, ReaperCon. And maybe next year, there's a miniature show in Italy called Monte Sansevino, which is has a very good reputation these days for attracting some of the best painters from all around the world. Held in a little Italian town. So that would be an excuse to get to Italy. So I probably would be aiming for a puppy after that. Get all that out of the way. Alrighty. So I'm okay with my bottle. It's not fantastic. It's not like, I still feel like there's some tuning I can do. I feel like I need to take this down a little bit with a glaze. And yeah, it'll do. It'll do. That'll do, donkey. Alright, that'll do, pig. Well, let's see here. Polished leather. I want to do the cork on top of that with the same color I used for the leather here. Whee! Sit, stay. Using a lot of different colors today. Definitely not a monochrome day for us here. There. Alright. But yeah. But yeah, when you're trying to do a wet or very shiny surface, do keep your highlights like tight and really sharp edged, not diffused. There we go. The polished leather color is a pretty good cork color as well. And if you want to mute it out a little, you can add a touch of blue to it. Which will take it slightly greenish, but also mute it. Or we could add a little bit of our brown liner to it as well. That's not a bad idea. I'm just messing around with it now until I get a good cork color. Add a little bit of my Asmodeus to it. That'll work. It'll be close enough. Yeah, I just mixed it until I got that color right here, which is more of an orangey brown. There it is. That's a good cork color. Alrighty, here we go. Just getting this little cork part. There we are. Yeah, good morning. That's okay, we've been chilling and painting. Chilling and painting, Otter Mama. We're working on our little bottle here. We did the front part of it. It is a very chill day. Pretty chill Monday. I have some Patreon stuff. I shot a video for you guys. I need to get that up. And actually, that's a great time to bring up my Patreon. I will have a video up today. I did a demonic skin tones one. It's, do I have that model around? It's, I did a dark one, a dark, demonic skin tones. I decided to do a little bit different than I usually do, but that video will be up later today. My Patreon is patreon.com/paintingbig. Did a video on green skins and frost skins. So we're kind of doing a non-human skin tones kind of series right now, along with other stuff. Ah, too light, too light. There we go. Ah, I got a little bit off camera. There we go. So yeah, I used, oh, hold on, I'll see if he's up on the shelf. There. Now, in retrospect, it seems like this top of this bottle is hollow, but I decided I wanted to paint this like a cork anyway, because I didn't think she was going to be carrying around an open bottle, especially if it was explosive. So, we'll just paint in the top of that to look like it's a plug. Because, yeah, when you've got a volatile liquid, I don't think that you wander around with it open-topped. I think that's just kind of a bad idea. I give her, I mean, she could be one of those wizards with the 3 wisdom, but she doesn't look it to me. It's not the way I've characterized her in my head, so. There. Great. So I think what we're going to do next time is maybe some freehand eyeballs, maybe some hair highlighting. I want to play with her hair a little bit. We need to get that silver done, but I'm not in a hurry to do that silver. Hey, Maharoon, thanks for the raid. Thank you, thank you. We just finished up doing our little bottle here, and I was about to show the gang something I did last week, end of last week. Let's see if I've got him. Yeah, I was kind of going dark. Let's see if this shows up on camera good. So I was using this dude and giving him a very, you could use it on an Efreet or a demon, but I started very dark and worked up on this. So that's what the video is kind of about, is doing that kind of a dark skin tone. 1 second. Get this back over here. Ah, that is not her. Anyway, he's a really cool kind of demon-born or tiefling or whatever you want to call him. And So yeah, there'll be a video for that out on the Patreon this afternoon after I edit it. This afternoon or evening. It's gonna be today, Maharoon. I'm gonna put it up on my Patreon for the $2 level. So be patient this evening, or if you're in Europe, tomorrow morning. So, but yeah, normally I do tiefling. I like to do tiefling skin a little bit. I start a little bit lighter, but I thought I'd like to try a dark version. So, and I always use regular skin tones mixed into my tiefling or half demon type of skin, and sometimes even to my demonic skin, depending. Just because I like the way that it looks, it adds a little more complexity. The candy red demon skin never looked right to me, so. All right. But I think we're pretty good, guys. We've done a lot, and although it looks very similar, these are definitely, like, we've got more of an orangey there and more of a pinkish there. Yeah. Yeah, I liked how it turned out, too. I thought I would probably do a bigger model with it. Now I kind of want to do, like, a bust. But yeah, my Patreon is patreon.com/paintingbig. I think Wendy linked it a little bit ago in the chat, but for new people, for the rating people, yeah, and we'll have that video up there later today. Oh, all right. I think we're good. So yeah, next time let's do some freehand on her cloak here. I have an idea. I want to do the design that Izzy drew right here for this little jewelry thing with the little kind of like almost an eye with details down below. So I think I'm going to adapt that and do that here because it'll fit this shape really well. And we'll do some freehand back here on our next time that we run into Vanselet. That'll be 6 days from now, so it will be Tuesday of next week when we are back on this model. But yeah, she's getting there. She's moving along pretty fast. We still have to do the back of the bottle and repeat our crystal and repeat our fluid, but I'm going to actually do some other stuff in between so that we have some other subjects in between doing duplicate topics. So yeah. Yes, we'll be doing. Oh, I should show you guys my little. She's finally getting more work on her. 1 second. I can almost reach her. Almost. There we go. So I finished both on my little halfling. I finished both of her little spade things. So those are going to be colored in now. That I have them mapped out on the inside of her cape. And then the back is also getting detailing now. So we're much more solid back here. Mapping in some freehand here so that I can fill in all these little triangles. So that's another project I'm working on privately for me. And a lot of freehand coming along on that. Had some time over the weekend to sit and freehand. So she's just a fun project for me. She's not a competition piece, so I'm not pushing her as far as I would push a competition piece, but she's coming along. She's coming along. The halfling. My pink and purple halfling assassin. With poison daggers. Because, you know, sometimes you just gotta paint it. And this is not the first time I've painted a halfling assassin pink either, so. It's the new black. Come on. Alright, I think we're ready. What we did today is we did a translucent potion bottle, or I like to think of it as an exploding fireball potion, which she's about to like chuck in the face of somebody who's annoyed her, because she kind of has that little bit of I am slightly annoyed look on her face. So yeah, that's what we did today, and we talked about color composition, about like what color you would choose here and why, and like how choosing a particular color for a potion will suggest one thing or another thing to the viewer, so you should always be a little conscious of that, and then like how the color influences the composition of your piece and stuff like that. So yeah, we did all that today. And tomorrow is Mushroom Lady. She is we're just gonna start throwing stuff at her and see what sticks. I'm gonna put some blue in her. I did decide I'm gonna like bring in some blue, but and some brown. So we'll have to see what we can do down here. And I'm really in a kind of like a mode of I'm not sure where I want to go with her her little bit of spray of mushrooms down the back yet. So this is still a work in progress. I'm still not certain, and I may repaint the whole thing. I'm just like kind of in that mode right now. Yes. So that's what we'll do tomorrow. We'll figure out what Anne's going to do this mushroom lady. We may have to, like, go in an entirely different direction. Who knows? Oh, yeah, it's Rhonda. Beyond the Kit. I saw her PDF for her last episode. It looked cool. So, yeah, guys, show up and hang out with Rhonda. Make sure she doesn't feel lonely and that she feels appreciated, because I know we appreciate all of you very much. So thank you very much. And thanks again, Maharoon, for the raid. And thank you all for all the subs and resubs today. It was really awesome. All right. Who are we going to raid, Reaper? We are reading Miniatures Den. It's the back and bounce. We're going to bounce back and forth. Over to the Alpaca Clan with y'all. And we'll see you later. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Have a great one.